Hey guys, I just finished up filming start to finish how to make this gorgeous bracelet. And so this video is going to show you how to make something so pretty. It's also going to serve as a beginner herringbone stitch intro. And I'd like to start doing more herringbone variations. So this is a really nice way to introduce just a simple, easy to do half-inch little section of herringbone, and then some really cool little techniques to link it together and make a really fun bracelet. I do have a couple of bracelets like this that I've done in the past that I spin, in different ways. This is a really, really versatile technique. So it becomes lots of stuff, right? It could also be earrings, just as a heads up. Can you see fringe earrings? I've done fringe earrings like that too. So this little bib makes a really cool, even for like a necklace, if you wanted to do even graduated strands. Think about all the possibilities here. So this is just your real estate for holding everything together for multi-strand designs in a way where you don't have to go find a special finding. You just got your seed beads and your hands and some thread and you've got it. So if you're loving these colors as much as I am, they are the following colors from Adornable Elements: 11.0 Seed Beads, the monthly Seed Bead collection that they send out. And so each of these colors is listed here. And you can find more from Adornable Elements on their website, which I'll be dropping a link to in the description for this video. And also the code Danielle10 will get you a discount on your first box or your first collection. And then it will also let them know that you're someone who watches my videos. So they'll try to get you similar colors or the same collection that they send to me. All right. And so let's see. Oh, questions I typically get that I just want to answer. I do believe that I have the full here, but if you want to make this project, this can easily be made with the half as well. So you don't need to have the full, but if you have the full, you're going to have plenty. And I do have other ideas. So as I go through the next couple ideas, I'm probably going to pull this collection out again and use those to show you some more variations of herringbone stitch, including I'd like to do a herringbone stitch robe. I haven't done one in a while. And I can see these as such a beautiful color block in that. So stay tuned for that. It's my next dream. But let's dive in together on making this one. And I'll show you how it's done. Here's all my materials that I'm going to be using for this gorgeous bracelet. Also, we'll need a beading needle. So size 10 is a great one. Size 12, size 11. Pretty much any beading needle is going to work there. And I have some 6-pound Fireline. And I'm just flattening end of that Fireline so that I can string on my needle a little easier. So get that going. And the length of Fireline that I'm going to use, I started with about 90 to 100 inches. So depending on the length of bracelet you're going to want to go for. But with herringbone, weaving in is pretty simple. So there's always that option as well. And then, of course, the materials are 11.0 seed beads. And I am using a collection from the Seed Beads of the Month Club from Adornable Elements. And I'm using Misty Pond for this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in kind of like a little order of graduating from light to dark to create a little pattern for my bracelet. And then for the fire polish, these are 4mm fire polish in 2 different colors. And you probably will only need 4 strands, but I grabbed an extra one just in case. I'm also planning to do a little pair of earrings, so I'm having just everything on the mat in case the moment inspires me and I start going on some earrings after this. We'll see what happens. Because bracelet, you need a matching earring, right? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to figure out what order I'd like these to go in. So I'm going to do 8 rows of herringbone stitch. The first 2 rows will be a laddered start. And then the rows built onto that will be regular herringbone rows. So I'm thinking this is a good edge color. And then perhaps, let's just put them in order to dark, light to dark. So, and these are the numbers, guys: 2426, 362, I think is the next one, 286. Or actually, maybe we go for some darker green here. Yeah, no, because we're starting to go dark to light. So let's go for this one. Then we'll go for these 2. This one, and that one. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty good. I know it's a little hard to see with the reflection. Let me just kind of tilt them. There we go. What do you think of that? That's a cool order. You can always play with this however you want. So let's go ahead and start with the first two colors. I'm going to set the others aside for now. Let's dump these out. And actually, I think it's that way that we were going to go. So let's put those that way. Beautiful colors. I'm particularly drawn to this one. This one, like by itself, and this design would be also really gorgeous. But what I did is I tried to kind of bring out the color in the fire polish, and this mix was kind of perfect for those two fire polish colors I just happen to have in my stash, which are unusual. This one's like a little blue. It's left over from one of my little gem duo bracelets I was making. And then this one, how cool is this? It's like transparent, all kinds of stuff. I don't even know what colors are in here except for some yellows. And next to the greens, this is going to look how cute that is. So anyway, that's any fire polish will work here. And again, I'm using 4mm. So here's my first two colors. And I'm going to do a ladder start. So let's bring the camera down a little bit. You can see a little better what I'm doing. Hopefully it's still nice and clear. And I'm going to pick up my dark colored bead, and then the one that's a little bit lighter, another one of the ones that's a little lighter, and another dark one. So you're going to have something that looks like that. I know they're a little close, but they're pretty subtle, the difference. Leave a tail that's long enough to create a clasp attachment. So we're going to go for, let's say, 10 inches of tail. And then entering the beads from the tail side, you want to go through those first two beads. So just like that. And what that'll do is it'll put the dark bead at the bottom row and the lighter bead as a row above. So as we pull that through, there's our little square start. So we're just doing a 2-stack ladder, basically. It looks just like that. All right. So once you've got that, go through that second stack there, just to bring your needle through to the next one. Try to keep everything tight if you can. And now you want to pick up one dark and then one of the slightly lighter ones and go loop through. And then turn and head up through these two here. And I'm going to pull tight on one side. And then here on the tail side, I'm going to go ahead and pull tight on the tail side, just keeping everything nice and tight like that. And it's going to be really easy to remember the number we're going for. We're going for, in this case, I'm picking up, because I'm heading this way, the light one first, and then the dark one first. And sorry, the number we're going for is 8. So 8 columns and 8 rows. So easy to remember. Let me just tighten this up from this side. It was getting a little loose. And then tighten from that side. So that was number 4. Column number 4. And rows 1 and 2 are getting made by this process. So keep doing that until you have a total of 8 stacks of 2. All right, so there's our 8 stacks of 2. So just from here, what I like to do, so in a herringbone stitch, there's, people who like to see the side of the thread and people who don't. I'm one of the people that doesn't mind my thread, and I tend to try to match it a little bit to the sides of my colors of beads. So I like to do this kind of a step up. It's also the easiest, most beginner-friendly way to do it. So from here, I'm exiting from this little bead here at the bottom. I go through this one right here. And again, yeah, that thread is going to show, but it has a bonus. As with in brick stitch, it keeps the edge lined up so it doesn't flare or fan out. And I just kind of like that. So there's that one. Let's set our color A and B aside for just a second. Let's get our color C. This one's going to be our 3rd row. I have so many beads. I have so many project ideas. I'm going to be bringing these with me on my little summer travels and playing with these. They're nice packages, or so, they're so compact. It's so nice. So from here, I'm going to flip this in my hand because I like to work from left to right because I'm right-handed. I've picked up 2 beads and I'm going to stitch down through this stack right here. This is the second one in from the edge. Forgive me, I'm just going to move some of the things my thread might get caught on here from the side. There we go. There we go. And when you do this, you're going to get this little herringbone stitch start there. And that's exactly what you want. Now turn and come up through the 3rd column of beads here. And pull that through. And pick up 2 more. And you want to go down through this next one. You'll get 2 more beads. Needle through which is essentially the 5th stack in from the edge. And we're going to bring that through. Pick up 2 more. And down through the next one. And then last but not least, we're going to work that last column. So head up this way. If your tail starts getting caught, just free that tail. You don't want it to get caught in there. Keep it separate. Last 2 beads of this row. And we'll head down through the last 2 here. Now, if you wanted to do more strands, again, this is going to be a multi-strand bracelet, so you're going to have 4 strands in this multi-strand. It's a nice size, but if you wanted to have 5, the secret there is to just start with 10 columns. Every 2 columns becomes a strand in this design. So as I was working through this, I was just thinking out loud because I have these might be cute like this. What if I did something like that as my strands? That might be really cute. I don't know. I might mix them up. I'm still thinking, but that could be cute as a 5 start. My mind is always churning with ideas. All right, so I'm kind of back where we were at the end of the last, the ladder row, right? I've got my thread exiting from this bottom bead here. And what I'd like to do is step up. So I'm going to go through the bead above it and continue through the bead I just added. So there's a step up right there. Hold everything tightly, just kind of pinch it in your hand. Pull that thread through. And that completes row 3. So I'm going to complete row 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and exactly the same way. The only difference, let me show you one more row so you can see what a row that's not working into the laddered row looks like. So let's do one of those normal rows together. Switching to my next color. I also flip the work again so that I'm working from left to right. And if you're left-handed, you may prefer to work that way. So that's just a little thing to look at. Move those again. So we'll pick up 2. And you remember how last time we went down through the whole stack? Well, this time we just need to go down through the bead that is the row before. So one of those beads. And we'll just pull that through. Right now we have a lot of threads, so just, help it without getting a knot. Go slow. Oh, this is going to look cool. What a beautiful ombre. This is going to be so gorgeous. Up through the next one. And we'll pick up 2. Down through the next one. And up through the next one. And pick up 2. Down to the next one. See, we're just working through the single bead for each of these next rows. And 2 last beads here. This time, just go through the one. See the one here? String that down. And you'll want to do a step up by going up through the last bead you added. Your thread will show on the side, but it's hardly noticeable at all. So continue like that, creating 4 more rows. My next 4 rows are going to be in these colors, but feel free to change that up, mix them up, like maybe it goes like this. I don't know, I'm still playing, trying to decide, but it looks really cool no matter what you do, honestly, because these colors are very cool together. But go ahead and make those 4 more rows just like that. So there it is. There's 8 rows completed. And here's me stepping up from that last bead through the last one I added and ready to start another row. But this time, instead of starting another row, I'm going to string some beautiful fire polish with some seed beads in between. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of make a little pattern. So as I'm adding beads, I'm going to space them. And let's just start with, as I was working through it, I've been leaning towards actually not using the blue because I kind of want the focus to be on the seed bead colors, which so just divinely complement what I've got going on here. So I was thinking if I just stick with the yellow, and I should have enough because I'm going to have plenty of length here, but to give you an idea of how long to string, each of your little tabs is going to give you 1/2 inch. So there'll be another one of these on the other side. It's going to be another 1/2 inch. So that's 1 inch in total. I'm going to use either a wire guardian or one of those little, symbols here on the edge. So that's going to add another, probably not quite a quarter, but probably like about that much in length or so. We could say a quarter just for if you can include the jump ring. So 1 on each side. So that's another 1/2 inch. And then whatever clasp you use is probably going to add at least another 1/2 inch because even a lobster claw is like that big. So let's say that all told, the clasp, the way we attach to the clasp and these little ends is going to give us 2 extra inches of length, just to give us a guesstimate. So whatever length you'd like your bracelet to be finished, string that minus 2 inches. So I'd like mine to be 6.5. So I'm going to start stringing with the goal of getting to be about 4.5. So I'm going to start with 1 fire polish bead. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ombre up and down from the colors. It's going to be really pretty. It'll be actually quite striking. So let's start with, we've got all these great colors out. Might as well use them. So I'm going to go with this color, which is the one I'm exiting from here. Another fire polish. Move down to the next color. String another fire polish. Move down to the next color. String another one. And so just keep going like that, picking up each one in order. I just picked up that one. So let's grab this one, fire polish, this one, fire polish. Okay. So that went from light all the way down to dark. And now I'm going to go back up. So we just strung that. Forgive me, I'm not on camera. I just strung that one. So now I've picked up this one. We'll get the next fire polish, next one, next one. And each one of these is just a smidge different. So I'm just randomly grabbing them, really. They're so pretty. Okay. One more fire polish. And now look, I'm already back up to the light color again. So keep going like that until you have your desired length. For me, it's going to be 4.5, and I'll just measure as I go. Like right now I'm at 3.5, so I need to add another inch. So I'm going to get about another 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to get another 5 fire polish on there. And then let me show you the next step. All right, let's test that length. We've got 4.5. That's exactly what I was hoping. All right, so from here, you want to end with just a fire polish. So don't add another 11.0 yet. Just add the fire polish. And what you're going to want to do is pick up in the lightest color. So the one we ended with here, whatever row color you ended with here, pick up that same color. 2 beads. You want 2 of them. And then go back through that entire strand, starting with that fire polish. I'm going to get through just a few here and then show you what that looks like. If I can get through. There we go. Just, as many as you can. Go ahead and pull that. Treat this a little bit like fringe. So what you're going to do is pinch these top 2 beads and just pull. Don't make it super, super tight. It doesn't need to be crazy tight, but just, so it's got motion. And see how these beads are kind of doing that? They're a little wonky. Help them go like that. And that way we know when our length through the beads is complete that we've got a tight tension. And again, not super tight, but just not loose either. You don't want big gaps. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to travel through this whole chain till I get to this last fire polish. Here we are. So exiting from that last fire polish bead, if you'd like at this step, just one more time, if you'd like to, just give those a little pinch and tighten. You can even just hold the fire polish bead, tighten, make sure that these guys are still sitting in that side-by-side configuration like that, like herringbone. And once you're happy with the flowy of the strand, you can even try bending it, because sometimes, you really want this to be, when you're wearing it, you want it to have motion, right? So make sure it's not like super, super tight. And from here, exiting from that fire polish bead, you want to go down through the second 11.0 seed bead in that herringbone column. So you see we were exiting from this one on the very edge, and we're going to go down through that one. And what that's going to do is complete the attachment to that center of the column. The 4mm fire polish are a really nice 1-for-1 with 2 of these 11.0 side by side, I find. If you want to give that one more little tighten, feel free, making sure it still has the motion that you require for it to look really flowy. And that looks good. You'll see me testing stuff like that more than once. I get really picky about it because it's not easy to fix later. So, all right. So from here, regular herringbone step up. So we're just going to go through the next bead in the row. Just keep in mind we're just coming down through this one. We're going to head up through the next one. And there we are. So what you'll see here is that bead is going to just sit centered over that edge herringbone column. We're going to repeat that 3 more times. I'm going to string the exact same number of beads. I'm even going to match the pattern of seed bead colors flowing from light to dark to light. And then it gets about right about to there. And then I just added the same color that I ended with. So go ahead and do that. 3 more. And meet me back here at the end of your last strand. And we'll do the next steps together. All right, so make sure that your lengths are all the same for each of those that you created. And then here at the base, just as we've been doing, we're going to go through the very edge, 11.0 seed bead, completing that last strand. And at this stage, just go ahead and just take one quick look and make sure everything is as you like it, that you didn't miss a bead anywhere. I had that happen on a couple of them as I was working. And so just after each strand, if you look at them together, testing that length, you'll know you've got it, and you'll catch errors in process instead of at the end. So that's what I did. And here I am ready to finish it. So first thing we got to do is some traveling. We're on this side and we want to be over here. So I just need to head back up through one of these strands, and it doesn't actually matter which one. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just go down through a few beads more because I want to strengthen. I'm going to basically step up, but I don't want to step up from just this bead because there's already a lot of weight happening on those beads. So I'm going to go down one more to the row below. So go through just the next bead down in the row, and do your step up on that bead. So you'll come up through that crystal in there. And now you're going to head through this strand again. So take that journey all the way up to the top of this strand. Be really careful not to skip any of your 11 seed beads. And when you get to the top, just exit from either one of those. It doesn't matter which one. All right, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating a laddered row with these beads. And so the way to do that, bring your needle up through, one of those 11 O's at the top of that strand. Looks like I hadn't done that yet, so I'm just doing that now. So get your bead to exit from one of these. And then take a look here, what you've got. Let's just ladder these together. So bring this one over to sit next to the next one. Just hold them like that for 1 second. I'm sorry, I flipped that. I think it's easier for me to work this direction, so we'll flip that. And I'm looking at it now and thinking it's easier to do on the mat. So what I'm going to do, I'll hold it up as I go through each bead. I'm exiting from this 11 O and I'm going to go down through that 11 O. And then head back up through the one I was just exiting. So we're going to connect those. We're laddering them together. Just like that. Head back through the one next to it. This is all going to serve to strengthen all of this up too. And then up through the open one on that next strand. So just a nice little ladder traveling stitch there. Same thing for this next one. We're going to go through the next strands, 11 O bead, and it doesn't really matter which side you pick up. Just pick up one of the sides and then head up. Back down through that bead. And up through this next one. Last but not least, we're going to grab this edge one. Head up through the one we're exiting. Which ladders them together. Head down through the one you were just through and up through that last edge one. And after you've done that, you'll have combined those together. So it's going to look like that on you. And as we create the next herringbone row, it'll flatten that out a lot more. So again, I'm going to flip this from working left to right, because for me, that just seems to work a little bit better. And I'm going to just pick up the next color. So the next color for me was this almost purpley one. I think it actually is kind of a purple. So rainbow, so pretty. I'm going to head down through from here. Just head down through the next bead, the next 11 O bead there. And then you just get that nice herringbone pop. Head up through the next bead, which will be this one here. And again, back to those same color beads because we're doing them by rows. But see, you can do all kinds of different patterns like this. It's really pretty. So much possibility. And I'm going to head up through this next bead. There we go. Pick up 2 more. And then up through here. And we'll pick up 2 more beads. From here, we'll head down through the last 11 O there. And that completes a row of regular herringbone stitch. So you see where we're going and how that tightened up this one so nicely. Let's do a step up here on the side of this bead, heading up through the bead we just added. So just like that. And then again, I'm flipping that for my own hand so I can work from the right direction. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create the remaining 6 rows using each of my colors, while we ending with this color here, just like we have here. But I wanted to give you a heads up that after you complete the row, working with your second to last color. So after you complete your 7th row, so we've just done 2 here. When you're done with your 7th row, stop there and meet me back here. I'm going to show you one extra little step for finishing the last row that will make it look really pretty. All right, last row. So to finish the last row, I like to do another ladder stitch row, and you can do that in process with your herringbone, kind of like all in one swoop. It's a really cool trick. It's one that I kind of can't live without, and one that I want to share with you guys now, because even though I didn't learn it as a beginner, I wish I had, because every time I look at my work from back in those days, I'm like, oh, those ends. And I'll show you an example here at the end of one that I mean. But so here's how to finish the end in the most polished way. So pick up these 2 11-0 seed beads that are the start of your last row. And just as normal, we're going to do a herringbone start there. Okay, so far so good. Same thing we've been doing. And again, just like we've been doing, we're going to head up through the next bead. But here's where we're going to be a little different. Pick up just 1 bead now. Go back through those last 2. Bring that down. And what you'll get, help it a little bit, but you'll get a flat edge where because with herringbone stitch, these are separated here, these are separated here. So your last row is going to look like that unless you do this kind of laddering thing. So I'm exiting from that bead right there. I want to go ahead and step up through this bead and also continue through the one I just added. So like that. If you do this, you get a nice flat edge. So pick up your next bead, just 1 for now. Head down through the second side of that second column there. There we go. Sorry about that. And up through the next one. First side of the 3rd column. And let's repeat that. We'll pick up just 1 bead. Okay, just 1 11-0. Let's head back through those last 2 and then up through those 2. And we're going to do that one more time. But we got to finish this one, so let's pick up 1, head down, up to the next one. Okay, pick up 1, back through the last 2, pull that through, up through those. Last bead of the row. Good old-fashioned way. Step up through the bead. So there's your end. All right, so here's that example I was mentioning. This is some of my early work, and I want you to take a look at just that last row, the row that's above my toggle bar side. And it's the side that doesn't have the flower. That last row, you see how the herringbone rows aren't linked together. They don't sit flat versus the starting side, which is flush. This is why it's worth it to do that little loopy thing that I just showed you. It saves you from having your edges look like that. Now, that said, those edges, does it detract from the beauty of the piece enough that I don't still love it? No, not at all. I still think it's really pretty. But, a little extra polish with the technique I showed you is also super great. So, yeah, that's why I do that little ladder herringbone loop for that last row at the finishing side. All we have left to do is put a clasp on. And the clasp I would like to use can be attached any number of ways. The most simple thing to do if you don't have the findings, I'm going to show I think I'm going to just do a wire guardian because I feel like that's something that like lots of folks have, but I really do love to finish these with symbols too. So a couple options there, more than a couple. But the easiest thing really is just pull a wire guardian to the center. So we're going to want to bring both our working and tail side thread to the center columns. And there's a couple of ways you can get there. You can just follow the thread path by going down and up, back down through the next column. You can even just go through a single bead. Just go where your needle easily travels to. And up through here. Okay, and that puts you 1, 2, 3, 4 in, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in from this way. So we're going to add a wire guardian and or a finding, whichever you'd like to do. We're going to add it here, which is the center. Alternatively, you could do a seed beaded loop, and those seed beaded loops can be right here just in the center, just 4 beads or something, or you can even kind of make a little larger rainbow by going from the third column in each way. So basically 1, and you jump over the center 2 and go through those. Lots of options there. You're not stuck with any of them. But let's go ahead and grab a finding really quick. All right, so I went digging through my findings, and I have these little wire thimbles. Sometimes you hear them called wire thimble, wire guardian, but all they are is just a little thing with a well. And if you want to see alternatives to this kind of finish, I'll point you to a couple other ideas. I just did a tutorial where I used one of the little symbol findings, and so I want to show you how that is a great way to also finish an edge. But I want to show you lots of different things. So for this one, I'm going to use this wire guardian. I'm just going to go up through one side. And sometimes wire guardians are a little tight. If you're having any trouble, you can go down to like a size 12 beading needle. Through the next side. And what I like to do is just kind of pinch them in my hand, hold that tightly, and then take a look. Some wire guardians are wider or, bigger than others. So if you have one that's like mine and it's just a little wider than the width of 2 seed beads, you can come along with Chino's pliers and sploosh them together like that. See? And so that's what I just did there. I'm going to head down through those beads. And there you go. So I need to reinforce that, but that in a nutshell is how to attach that wire guardian. We'll head up through this side now. There we go. That first reinforcing pass, it might move on you, especially if it's a tight wire guardian where your needle's kind of catching inside. That's okay. If it does this to you, just pinch it again. And make sure the thread stays in the well. The well is this top part. As long as your thread's still in there, you're okay. And this time I went down through 3 beads. When I secure wire guards and reinforce, I like to go down through different rows, and it's kind of helpful. And up. This last pass might be tight, so let's just secure everything with our fingers as we pull that needle through. There we go. And I feel like 3 is good. Again, just hold it like that. It'll stay put. From here, weaving in. Weaving in is so easy. Just follow your thread path through the rows. So start just going through beads as if you were stitching them, just like you were when you were stitching them the first time. And step ups are a nice way to lock in. Like that. And so continue doing that, maybe 1 or 2 more passes around. Trim your thread. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. And I'm going to show you one little trick on this side because you'll notice that the center of these is on this side. They're facing this V is going this way. So you can easily just go loop, loop, loop like that. On this side, it's different. So on the starting side, your center two, the V's are going like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're kind of opposing each other. So you don't want to go across like that. So I'm going to show you another trick when you get there. So hang tight. Switching to my tail side, I'm going to thread my needle. And then let's head to the center 2 columns, just like we had on the start. So I'm going to go down and up. Down the next one. And up the next one. All right, so remember when we ladder stitched this row? These two, you can do this loop through. So when we put the wire guardian on, we can loop through them. But if you go down further into this row here, you don't want to go down through this one and then up through that one, because that's going to wreck your beautiful herringbone. So you don't want to go any further than just this top row for attaching the wire guard. But if you'd like it to be a little stronger, you can use a thread bridge trick. Let me show you that really quick. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to line this up and make it a little less wide. There you go. And then I'm going to string, go over the well, and then making sure everything's nice and tight there. Pull that down until it's centered like that. And let's head down through these 2 beads here. Head up through these. Get through the wire guardian. It's really easy to miss the side of that. So just really slowly looking at it. If you're wire guardianing, you have to kind of pay attention. Round and down. And now it's totally fine from here just to keep doing this. Just using this, just this laddered row. But if you need to go down further into the work because you want to have it be stronger, from here you can keep going. Let's see if it lets me go through. Yeah, it's getting pretty tight. So I was able to get through that, but if you weren't able to get through that, you can use these thread bridges here to attach a wire guardian. So you basically would go through the wire guardian and come under the thread bridges. Another place you can use thread bridges is head down into the work through the next row and grab the thread bridge that sits above the beads in the row below it. The best way to do that is just to insert your needle underneath those two in the V there. Pull that through. And so you get to see that again because I dropped it. So you see we're exiting out of this bead, right? We're exiting out of that one. And we're going to grab the thread bridge that's above these two by going in between those V's. And see, when you pull up, it grabs that thread bridge and it doesn't misshape your work because it's creating an even more accentuated version of that little center V. On this side where you'll find yourself is just your thread. Your thread will be hanging out in between these two, right? And you can just head back through. And head right back up. Now I feel like I did enough reinforcing for that wire guard and it was getting really tight. So I'm not going to try to go back through here, but I'm just going to weave in. But I wanted to show you all of those options in case you're feeling like you need one of them. All right, so just weave in, trim, and let's put on our clasp. All right, and there it is. I've got a clasp here, but look how cute. Look how cute that is. Those colors are perfect, and this bracelet is so cute. So I'm going to put on a toggle, because you can use all kinds of different stuff. You know, toggle clasp is great, but whatever kind of clasp you want, lobster claw, it should all work really well. I'm just going to put the ring side on one. And there's that. And for the bar side, I'm going to go jump ring to the wire guardian, and then another jump ring to the bar. I do that so just to make sure my bar can get through. And I did kind of graduate the size of my jump ring down, just, if you like it. There you are. So that's in a nutshell how to make one of these gorgeouses, start to finish. And it's really pretty. You can really vary this up. You can change it to be so many things. One of the things I really love to do is to take a design like this, and you know how we did rose with all the different colors? Well, you could also do a column of different colors. So one side could start with the light color and then it would be the dark. So you would basically just be working with, in every row you made, you would use every color once on that row, and you'd get the same thing, but it would just be moving that way. And that's another way you could do multi-strands that have colors that you're trying to line up. So take this to new levels by doing stuff like that. And if you make something really beautiful, I'd love to see it. If you post to social media, if you want to tag at Danielle Wickes Jewelry, I would love to see the stuff that you create, and I'll cheer you on and share it to my stories and everything. So thank you so much, and I will catch you for the next video.